Hello everyone and welcome back again to potentially the last episode of Dragon Age Awakening. I think it's going to be the last episode, but it depends a bit on how big the next area is going to be. Technically all that is left for us to do is to kill the mother. We already killed the architect, and as I said last episode, we decided to kill him because Skadi just didn't trust him. The enemy of your enemy is not always your friend. And I mean, at that moment, he needed our help to kill the mother, but we don't really know what he would have done once the mother is dead. Maybe he would have tried to take that Grey Warden blood by force after all. And Skadi wasn't willing to risk that. So we killed him. And yeah, now we're going to kill the mother. Let's go.
Now's better than later.
Area unlocked. The nest. Oh, she's right there. Okay. So this is just the final battle. All right. Let's do this, guys. Let's do this.
If it isn't the hero of the hour, the slayer of the mighty father, come to claim a reward. Oh, what a delicious day.
They just get bigger and uglier, don't they?
What is that?
By the ancestors, do all brood mothers smell this bad?
Am I not beautiful?
Well, that's in the eye of the beholder, I
Has
guess.
the Grey Warden come now to slay the mother too? Will she join the father in oblivion?
That's the plan. Well, the father's obviously the architect. But yeah, maybe we can get some answers out of her.
Answers? But you are brave. Once, beautiful music sang to us from the deep, called us near. We would search for that voice. But the father, he was flawed. He heard only a twisted shadow of it. He hated what it did to us. He said he wanted to free us, but all he brought us was silence. Dreadful silence.
I think
Now
I'm
the
starting to
father is
understand.
gone. The mother can take her children deep into the earth and care for them, safe and sound.
I'm going to assume that the music she speaks of is the call of the old gods, because Darkspawn hear this call and that's why they seek out the old gods. And she doesn't like the fact that now that she's free, she doesn't hear the call anymore. So that's interesting. Until the next time you send them to attack us again?
Oh, the mother knows your ways. You will not let her be, no, not after what she's done. So it must end. It all must come crashing down!
Yeah, let's do this.
Perhaps we will hear the song again when we die. Oh, let it come. Let it come.
Oh, that was kind of creepy. Alright. Special abilities. In this battle, you may call on special abilities indicated by the new icons on the right side of the screen. To use an ability, left-click on the appropriate icon. For abilities that require a target, highlight a target and left-click again. Alright, so I have the Tower of Flame, Tower of Trauma, and Tower of Healing. I mean, the Tower of Flame is against a single target, and I certainly will want to target the mother. So I guess I will just use it now before I get in its way. Oh, it actually doesn't affect me. Alright. Also, you need to get out of here. Your mana is completely drained already. Okay, we're not going to joke around with the smaller potions. This is the final battle. We just throw everything into the battle that we have. I'm going to take a shield wall, although I'm not exactly sure if it helps against the tentacles. I remember that they used to push me back when fighting the Brood Mother in Origins.
I'll get on it.
Let's see if I can interrupt her. Yes, that worked out well. Nathan, you're a bit close. I think you should go somewhere else, and maybe you can go a bit to the back as well. Alright, let's continue. Yeah, it still knocks me over. Anders, I think
Ready.
you should give me a heal before bad stuff happens. And I will have to use a health potus once I'm down. Yeah, that was very close. Okay, let's continue. Oh, there are tentacles over here as well. Okay, let's send him over there. What's that? Stinging swarm. That's not good. And yeah, just take the big potions. We're not messing around here. Alright.
I'll get on it.
Sigrun, I think you are fighting against the tentacles, is that right? I'm not sure if maybe you should go for the mother as well instead.
What is your command?
Yeah. But I will continue with the mother. I just wish she would stop throwing me down. That is really annoying. Let's use a shield wall.
I'll get on it.
Alright. Glyph of neutralization. Yeah, this is for Anders. I need to move out of here. And let's just equip the big one as well. Use it. And same for the stamina draughts. We'll just take whatever we have in our inventory. You as well. Alright. And continue. Oh, now she's summoning some of the childers. Okay, let's see if I can kill a few of them. Grievous insult. Come on, use... No, not that. Grievous insult. And a second wind. And a massacre. And Nathaniel... No, 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 wrong. Wrong. You are in the wrong place. And I can't seem to send him away. Can't you just go there? Thank you. Why are you doing this, Nathan? This is not your place. Okay, it seems that I killed a bunch of the children. That's good. But Anders can heal me. And I will continue. Okay, those guys are dead for the most part, and everyone's doing fine on health. But you need more stamina, more mana. And continue. Are you being attacked, Anders? Oh yeah. Nathan, maybe you can... Yeah, you should take care of the small guys. I will continue with her.
Ready.
I will use a fortifying presence. Oops! Yep. That calls for another heal. And a health potion once I get down. Oh, wow. Not good, not good. Let's use the cat. Let's use the cat. I can't believe I'm saying that. Alright, now let's use the potent health potus. Alright. And, this is not a good camera angle. And continue. And, yeah, I'm going to need stamina as well. And now we're ready to fight again. Oh, wow. Give me some healing. What else do we have here, by the way? This long dormant winter artifact is capable of stunning all creatures in the area. Well, there aren't really that many anymore, so I'll just leave it in case she summons more of them again. Yeah. But, I mean, she's slowly going down on health. Yeah. Potion. Stamina draught. And... yeah, the potent ones are all gone. Take a greater one. Okay, she summoned more, so I think this is a good time to use Tower of Trauma. Yeah, very nice. And I will continue with the big lady. And you can hopefully take care of the small guys. Yeah, every one of you kill the childers. I'm going to focus on her. And another stamina draught, please. Man, Anders, you're going through the lyrium like an addict.
Hit them.
Alright. I hate this green gassy thing. This isn't good. I mean, I still have my healing tower. And maybe this is a good time to use it, because we're all suffering a bit. And she is almost dead, so come on, let's use it. And, continue. You need another lyrium potion. I don't believe it. Yeah, just drink up, guys, drink up. There's plenty of it. Stop throwing me over. Alright, she's almost dead.
Now's better than later.
Come on, let's use the Peon's Blight. And there we go. There we go. Alright. Why am I killing her with that small dagger? Alright, whatever works, works. Oh dear. Whew, good job everyone, good job. In war, victory, right? Amazing. Oh, after the death of both the architect and the mother, nearly all the remaining Darkspawn fled back into the deep roads. The raids on Amaranthine came to an abrupt end. That is very good. Although some of the architect's disciples likely escaped into the deep roads with the rest of their brethren, they have, so far, shown no inclination towards vengeance against the Grey Wardens who killed their savior. That's good as well. Yet the deep roads remain plagued by the darkspawn, and it seems certain that in time another blight will begin. The danger may have passed for now, but the cycle of the old gods continues. Well, fair enough. Word of the Grey Warden's heroic salvation of Amaranthine spread like wildfire. When the magnitude of the losses at Vigil's Keep came into light, damn it, sympathy drove generous donations from all over Ferelden into the region's coffers. Amaranthine was restored to her former glory within a year, Vigil's Keep in 5. Well, at least it was restored. Because of the Warden's support for law and order in Amaranthine, Constable Aiden and his men were able to distribute the smuggler's goods to the battered survivors in the grueling days that followed the Darkspawn defeat. Okay. Although the war devastated many farms in the Arling, all agreed the loss would have been greater without soldiers for protection. The farmholders developed a certain reverence for the Warden Commander, as well as an ongoing reliance on the Grey Warden for order and protection. Well, it seems to be all pretty positive so far. Vigil's Keep stood alone against the horde of Darkspawn. The Mother's forces outnumbered the Vigil's defenders many times over. But the sturdy dwarven walls proved impervious to any boulder an ogre could throw. Yeah, that's great. The Vigil's soldiers, clad in silverite, each felled a dozen darkspawn before they died. Okay. The Vigil held one night, then 2, then a week, and eventually the attacking horde broke upon her walls. The keep developed an almost mythic reputation, the few survivors immortalized in song and legend. Okay. Peace allowed the Warden to replenish their numbers. Soon, Vigil's Keep bore a capable army with Wardens at its core. From their ranks emerged new heroes to challenge threats to Amaranthine and all of Ferelden. Through taxes and levies, the Vigil was rebuilt. Years later, Voldrick Glavanok stood on the battlements and pronounced that the defenses were acceptable. Well, apparently he survived. That's nice. He would never speak more highly of any human engineering. That's great. Dark whispers of conspiracy against the Warden fell silent after a rash of accidents and disappearances culminated in the apparent suicide of Ben Asmerel. The nobles of Amaranthine remained dutiful. Some even suggest they were cowed into submission. Ooh. Among the many legends that the Vigil spawned was one of the great heroes of the next age. A sheep herder turned soldier by the name of Sir Alec the Valiant, who eventually founded an order of knights that lasted 1,000 years. Man, this epilogue looks quite far ahead. 1,000 years. I believe, is that the guy that I drafted into the army after he stole some grain? Because if that's true, then I'm very happy that I made that decision. The Commander's blade, Vigilance, crafted from the bones of an ancient dragon, was boldly stolen by Antivan crows. Oh. They need to be killed. The blade changed hands many times thereafter, with some master swordsmen pursuing the weapon their entire lives. Some claim that this legendary blade has had a life of its own, and that its power is steadily growing. Oh, okay. Dwarf King Glavanok further refined his lyrium sand explosives, but left the Warden's employ after Kunari mercenaries tried to assassinate him. Although the dwarven bombardier took his secrets with him, the learned say he left clues for others to follow in his footsteps. Okay. The Vigil's soldiers, wearing the distinctive silverite armor that Master Wade crafted, came to be known as the Silver Order. Under the tutelage of the Wardens, the Silver Order developed into one of Ferelden's most revered military forces, a lasting memory of the Vigil's famous commander. With Villana and the Architect gone from the region, the Pilgrim's Path began to see traffic again. The massacre of the militiamen and the merchants, however, led to hostilities between the neighboring human settlements and any Dalish clans that passed by. One human villager soon kidnapped and murdered a Dalish child. The clans reacted by giving the Wending Wood a wide berth, but both sides know that at some point the elves will return for revenge. That is not so good. A few years after Kal Hirol was emptied of Darkspawn, Orzammar began sending expeditions to rediscover the knowledge of smithing that had been lost within the Thaig. Eventually, House Helmi decided that Kal Hirol was too important to be abandoned. At a tremendous cost of dwarven lives, they cleared the tunnels leading to Kal Hirol of all Darkspawn, making the road between Orzammar and the fortress safe again. Kal Hirol was reclaimed for Orzammar once and for all. Well, that's a good thing. As promised, Voldrick and Dworking presented Orzammar's Shapeblade with a stone marker that told of how Kal Hirol's caseless had taken up arms against the Darkspawn. The commander of the Grey was invited to Orzammar as a guest of honor at a feast commemorating the defenders of Kal Hirol. The Shaper read the names of the caseless of the marker that presided over a ceremony to return them to the stone as befitted warriors of their stature. Nice. In time, the Arling began to forget the tales of apparitions in the Black Marsh, and ever so slowly settlers drifted into the region. Scholars said the veil was still thin and thus the area still dangerous, but the people only cared that there were no longer frightened whispers in the shadows. The village was slowly rebuilt. Twice the Baroness's mansion was rebuilt and occupied, once by a wealthy merchant and another time by an Orlesian mage. Both died mysteriously. Afterwards, the mansion was torn down completely and the site left untouched. Okay. Anders remained with the Grey Wardens a few years longer, training the Order's next generation of mages. But when the Circle Tower called him to deliver a lecture on the nature of the architect, much to the Templars' dismay, Anders told the commander of the Grey that his time with the Wardens was over. Well, good on you, I guess. And yet, not 2 months later, Anders returned to the Order. Ever after, the Wardens were his home and his lasting companions. Oh, that is nice. That is nice, Anders. When the walls of Vigil's Keep were breached, the surviving defenders watched in horror as a section of stone collapsed upon Velana. Oh no! When the rubble was later cleared, however, there was no body. Velana was just gone. Huh. So, she may not be dead after all? Okay. Over the next years, Nathaniel dedicated himself to the Order and to clearing the blemishes on his family's name. After saving Turn Fergus Cousland, hey, that's my brother, from a bandit attack, a portion of Amaranthine was returned to the house. Well, so there is some sort of happy end for Nathaniel. That is nice. Nathaniel passed the holding to Delilah's son, and when a new castle was eventually built there, a statue of Nathaniel was erected in its courtyard. Okay. Justice fought valiantly at the battle for Vigil's Keep, but before the victory horn sounded, a Darkspawn sword removed Kristoff's head. Ooh. It was, of course, unclear whether the spirit of justice perished or simply departed. At the least, Kristoff's wife's Aur was finally able to claim her husband's ashes. So again, we don't really know what happened to him, if he is dead, quote-unquote, or maybe he returned to the Fate. I don't know. Although Sigrun seemed intent on leaving for her calling, departing for the deep roads to finish what she started in Kal Hirol, the Warden Commander had a knack for finding important and absolutely urgent things to occupy the dwarf. That is great. And so Sigrun delayed her long walk into the darkness for several decades, even though she never stopped cracking jokes about needing to throw herself at death. This is nice. So we could kind of stop her from killing herself and could kind of diminish her death wish a bit. That is really nice. At Vigil's Keep, Ogun rallied a last-minute defense of the gate, taking on 2 ogres simultaneously to allow others time to regain the courtyard. He eventually passed out from blood loss, and when he awoke weeks later, nobody was more surprised than he to discover that he had been credited as a hero. Okay, so Ogun, at least Ogun, we are sure about Ogun surviving. That is good. That's good that Ogun survived. Ogun continued to regale young warden recruits with tales of his prowess in both battle and bed. His drinking games prompted at least one recruit to declare that she'd rather re-attempt the joining and lift another mug. Ogun. At the warden commander's urging, Ogun took a more active role in his child's life. He visited Falsey often and wrote letters, which the warden commander graciously proofread nearly every week. Okay. As for the savior of Ferelden, she did not remain as commander of the Grey for long. The Darkspawn were no longer a real concern, the Blight well and truly over. It was time for her to move on. She returned to life at court, resuming her duties as Queen of Ferelden and receiving a hero's welcome. When she rode back into the capital, King Alistair awaited her at the palace gates, grinning from ear to ear. I can very vividly imagine that right now. Some years later, the savior of Ferelden vanished entirely. Oh, nobody knows for what purpose she departed, yet neither does anyone think her tale is complete. Mysterious. And there we are, achievement unlocked, Awakening. Yeah, so we managed to finish it after all, and yeah, I'm going to extend this episode again a bit so that I can give again some final thoughts on this. I mean, obviously, there isn't much to say about the combat and the gameplay because it was essentially the same as in Origin. But within the limits of what they could change by still using the same gameplay system, I think they made some good additions, like the ability to replenish stamina, the ability to respec your companions, even though I actually only used that ability once, but it was a good thing they added it. And they added some nice new skills as well, so I absolutely have no complaints in that area. Maybe let's talk about the story a bit. I have mixed feelings about the story. I think the premise was very, very interesting, you know, portraying the Darkspawn as something else than just mindless killing machines, making them sentient, making them intelligent, and introducing this Darkspawn civil war of sorts. I think you can say that the story was definitely more ambitious than it was for Origins. It was more, or it was designed to be more complex, I believe. The only problem that I have with that is, I think it's not easy to write a complex story while at the same time have some extent of non-linear gameplay. I mean, you could choose the order in which to do the main quests, and the story still had to work out whatever way you did the quests in. And as a result of that, I felt that there wasn't that much story development in the middle part where you did your main quests. I mean, there was some development. I mean, I learned about the Darkspawn fighting each other. I met the Architect. In the third quest, the Black Marsh, there was basically no story development towards the main arc at all. And you may remember that after the first and the second main quest, I was just utterly confused. I was really confused, and it really left me with more questions than answers. And I think this is just the nature of the non-linear progression of the story. They couldn't really progress a story if you can just pick the order in which to do the quests. So, yeah, like I said, maybe the story was a bit too ambitious for the scope of the game. Maybe they had to make the game longer or made it a little bit more linear, I don't know. I mean, basically it's the same concept as in Origins, except that in Origins they didn't even attempt to make a very complex main story arc. I mean, the main story arc in Origins was basically, here's your bad guy, go and kill it. And I mean, you had some story developments in Origins in the first part of the game, from the origin story up until Lothering, which was a linear part of the game. And then you branched out into all these different main quests where you gathered your army, and those were all pretty much self-contained stories in themselves, whereas the main story arc didn't really develop at all at that time. You had some occasional cutscene of Loghain sitting on his throne doing nothing, and that was basically all the story development for the main story arc at that time. But it worked out because the story just wasn't that complex, and I felt it didn't really work out that well in this case. Nevertheless, I think it was interesting and was something different. It definitely wasn't bad. I just feel that it could have been done better and that the middle part of the game lacked a bit in, proper story development. That would be my only point of criticism in regards to the story. However, they again made some very interesting choices for you to pick, especially the last one, siding with the architect, killing the architect. That was a very, very interesting decision. And yeah, maybe let's talk a bit about the characters as well. Starting with the first ones that I got, well, minus Myri. Poor Myri, rest in peace. The first one I got was Anders. Anders was an interesting, very special character. I think I already said at some point in the game, he was some weird love child of Alistair and Zevran, which apparently, as I've been told in the comments, is because he was written by the same guy who wrote Alistair and Zevran, and I really liked having him around. And I had him around a lot because for quite some time he was my only mage, and I really enjoyed having him in a party because he always had some funny or snarky remark, and he could really lighten up the mood a bit. Maybe he was lacking a little bit in depth, but that's fine. I mean, he had this whole story going on about how he always kept running away from the circle and how he wanted to be free of the circle. So that was an interesting part of his character. Other than that, he was, mostly a funny guy. Then we have Ogun. I was happy to get Ogun back because I got him relatively late in Origins. And basically he was just as hilarious in Awakening as he was in Origin, but I feel that this time they tried to make him a little bit more deeper of a character. You had this small but important story about his child, and I think that made him a more interesting character than he was in Origin, where he was basically just your stereotypical drunk dwarf. So I'm very happy that Ogun survived the game. And then we met Nathaniel, and obviously playing as a Cruiseland, this was specifically interesting for me. He was an interesting character, and I think he probably had the most character development over the course of the game. And it was very interesting to watch his development. Very angry, wanting to kill me, to becoming a friend, and all over the course of a fairly short time. That was some good character development. Next, Sigrun. I really loved Sigrun. I couldn't really explain why. I think she was probably, from the new characters, my favorite because she was a very contradictory character. I mean, on the one hand, she was this cheerful little dwarf that was just in awe of everything on the surface, trees and flowers and, a handful of dirt. And it was just funny to watch how she admired everything she saw. On the other hand, she had this dark side and this guilt about, the death of the Legion. And she had this death wish, which apparently kinda diminished after the end game. But I think it made her a very interesting and complex character, and I think she would have deserved to be in a longer game so that you could develop her character a bit more. And then we have Velana. Velana, I don't really know what to think of Velana. I think it's kind of hard for me to judge Velana as well as Justice because they got I got them so late in the game. As for Velana, I mean, if I had to rank the characters, I would say she was probably my least favorite. I didn't really find her that interesting. I mean, she was a bit reduced too much to the angry elf that hated humans. And while she did become friends with Skadi at the end, it didn't feel like that much of a character development like for Nathan, for example. Because I think she still hated all other humans, basically. So, yeah, I mean, she wasn't an unpleasant character, but I didn't really care for her as much as for the others. And finally, Justice. I think Justice was a very interesting concept. Bringing a spirit into your party is certainly something that I did not expect. And as a spirit, he always felt a bit like he didn't really belong in the group. He was a bit self-righteous. He was very critical of the flaws of my other companions, and it always made him stand out a little bit, because obviously, as a spirit of justice, he has a very narrow and a very simple view on things. However, his conflict with his memories from Christoph gave his character some complexity, I think. And I think it would have been interesting to explore this a bit more. How does a spirit react when he enters the real world and is confronted with emotions like love and stuff like that. So this would have been interesting to see in more detail. So if I ever going to play this game again, and I will at some point play this game again, I will try to do the quest in a different order so that I get Justice a bit earlier in the game. So maybe this will give me a better angle on his character. So yeah, we are back at the title screen, so this is a good point to end the episode. This was Dragon Age Awakening, the first, expansion. I know why they call it an expansion and not a DLC. What's next on the channel? According to the order of DLC that I wrote down, the next one that I would play would be the Golems of Amgorek. However, I have decided I'm going to skip that one. Or to be more precise, I am going to play it, but just for myself off camera on the side, and not as a let's play. The reason why I'm doing that is because I have been told that there are no story relevant decisions in this DLC, and it's basically, designed to be challenging and difficult in combat. I mean, it's not like I don't think that I would be able to beat the game. I've been doing pretty well recently. I think I would be able to turn up the difficulty, and as for the Golems of America, I would probably turn it down again to easy to balance out the inherent difficulty of the DLC. But I still think that it will probably be not as interesting to watch if it is very combat heavy and maybe frustrating. So I decided to skip that one, just play it off camera so I know the story and know what's going on. But for my Let's Play, I will move on to Witch Hunt, which is, as I understand it, the final part of the journey of Skadi Koosland. It will be very sad to let her go. She has grown very, very dear to me, but all good things must come to an end. So we're going to play Witch Hunt next, and since I just took a long break due to my laryngitis, we will continue with Witch Hunt right away. Tomorrow, same time, same channel, first episode of Witch Hunt. So see you then.